So, you've got a shy child. Whenever somebody new comes over to the house, suddenly radio silence. They don't say a word. Or whenever you visit someplace, you see those out-of-town relatives that you've not seen in a couple of years. Instead of running up and greeting them, your shy one is hiding behind your legs the whole time. And you feel like you want to help them find their boldness, but you also don't want to ignore their feelings, and you want to be gentle. You know, there's a lot of parents out there that say you should never label a child shy or make them into something that they're not. On the other hand, you would love to see your little one grow into something bigger and bolder. Perhaps become class president of their high school one day. Is there no way to do both? We're going to talk about that here. And first, let me greet you, Dad Squad. My name is Gideon Newell, and you're watching the Run With My Son show. We're a bunch of dads who are determined not to let the headwinds of life push us off that path to a lifelong, heart-to-heart relationship with our sons. And we do that through something we call runversations. Great conversations you're going to have with your son as you're out and about together running and enjoying the outdoors. And so today's topic is one that you can talk to your son about. There's things you can do in the moment, and there's things you can do when you're out on your runversation. But I don't want to delay any further. Let's jump right in here with a bunch of great tips that I've gathered from many of you who are watching and some other reading that I've done on ways you can help free those children who are shy and want to escape it. Number one, we want to acknowledge feelings. And that simply means telling your young one that you relate. Yeah, I know it's difficult. It's hard walking into a classroom full of new faces. That's not an easy thing to do. And there's a lot of people who want to come and say hello to you. And sometimes that can be a little bit scary. Just simply acknowledging, if you don't do any of these other things, dads, if you do that alone, you will bond and grow closer to your son. You can also relate by telling them a story from your own, childhood. Wow, I remember when I was your age, I used to have, an aunt kissy face who all she wanted to do was give these big wet kisses, and I just wanted to run away from that, and it might make him laugh, and that would be great because that's going to bond you too. But number one is acknowledge his feelings. Number two is to never say the S word. And you know which one I'm talking about, Dad Squad. No, maybe you don't. I'm talking about the word shy. When we label or tag our young ones as shy, especially publicly, we put our young ones in a box. We put our son in a box, and we're telling him that this is what he is, and this is where he's going to remain. That can be limiting, and it can be demoralizing. There are better ways, and we will talk about that here. But I want to thank Michelle Visser and Matt Cochran, who both pointed this out to me, because it's not helpful, dads. All right, number three, we're going to practice or rehearse a little bit ahead of time. So if you know that you're about to enter one of those potentially awkward situations, maybe you're in the car ride over to those long distance relatives home. You've got a whole car ride that you can talk about. Now, when we get there, there's going to be a lot of grown-ups that maybe you don't recognize right away, and they want to say hello to you because they haven't seen you since you were this big. And give them some strategies. Let them know that it's coming. Let them know that it's okay to be shy, to feel a little bit reserved. But this is a teaching moment for you. And I don't want to forget, this is something that Nikki Gallantly, I hope I said that right, advised. You can also do some pre-game coaching, pep talk, with the adults on the other side of those conversations. Hey, I'm coming over on Tuesday, and I'm going to bring my little guy, and I just wanted to let you know that sometimes when he's around unfamiliar faces, he gets a little quiet, and I don't want you to take it, as a sign of rudeness or disrespect or anything. He's just a little bit shy. And maybe the two of you, in your conversation, can strategize some ways that we can make that conversation a little less awkward. So practicing is a great one. And you want to be and act confident in your young one, your child, your son. Let him know, I know that you can be a great and happy greeter. And teach them things like how to shake hands confidently, how to look someone in the eye, to always return a hello or a hi with, a hello or a hi right on back. There's things you can do, little things that are going to add up to bigger things when they get into the moment and they need to draw on those skills. So a little practice goes a long way. Number 4, adjust expectations a little bit. So instead of pressuring your son right away to go up and be social, why don't you give him a job? So when he first walks in the house, hey, I got a job for you. Can you carry the potato chips from our car into the house and grab a bowl and pour them in the bowl so that everybody can share and eat them together? Sometimes just having a nice ease into the situation will help those children, and us too, dads. We've been shy ourselves. So having a little job and they can watch how others are interacting as they're doing it will help them come out a bit. All right, here's number 5, and it's one that we like here on the show. You'll recognize is to enroll them in some activities that they like. Some sports, some after-school things, some clubs, some just other social situations. Specifically ones that have other kids but not a crowd of other kids. So if there are activities on your radar, things that he likes that you can think of, particularly if they've got just a handful of other kids, that could be great, dads, because he's going to get used to seeing the same familiar faces week in and week out. He'll learn how to socialize a bit with them, and that'll make the larger situations a little bit easier. This was an idea that I got from Gary McDuffie. Sorry, Gary. And you know what? There's another thing that could go in this too. You want to make sure that situation, those activities, have a very comforting and familiar adult on scene too. The coach, the sensei, if it's a karate thing, we have a master at our taekwondo dojo who's very great with the kids. You know what? When an adult is there who can instinctively see these things and help grease these situations, by helping the shy ones, that helps tremendously. And who better to step into that role, Dad Squad, than you? I want to encourage you to volunteer to coach the soccer team or the baseball team, or whatever the case might be. You know what? If you're there, that's a familiar landmark that's going to help your son really anchor himself in this room full of potentially unfamiliar faces. Let me go further, dads, and say that better yet, you can start the habit of a routine where the two of you go out and run together. This is something we do every Saturday in our house. We like to go out and run. It gives one-on-one time between Dad and my 3 sons, and we talk about all sorts of stuff. All the different runversation topics that I'm sharing with you are things that we will try to mix in and have mixed into our conversations, our runversations. And if you're watching this video on Facebook right now, and only on Facebook, I'm afraid, but if you are watching it on Facebook, you can type right here in the comments the words training plan. Or I think even the words plan. If you're watching on mobile and you're all thumbs and you don't have, you don't want to type all 20 of those letters, just type the word plan or training plan, and you should automatically be sent this Couch to 5K training plan that's going to help you and your son, no matter what your fitness level or stage is, to go from no routine of exercise at all to being able to run in a 5K road race. And as you know, if you're watching this today, September 1st, 2017, we are entering the fall, the road race season. This is when the most of these races are going to be happening around us in our communities. So this is a great time to start, dads, if you haven't jumped on board. If you're not watching on Facebook, you can get this too. Just go to our website, runwithmyson.com. It's right there. It's free, and you're going to love it. It's got everything in here for ages 4, 5, 6, 7, and on up. Very unique. It's designed for kids, and you won't find those elsewhere. All right, so you're going to do that. You're going to enroll them in some activities. You're going to start running together. Here's number 6. We want to teach the difference between shy and rude. So Nikki Hadley had this great distinction. It's okay to be a little shy, a little reserved. It's not okay to be rude. And by rude we mean not returning a hello, not acknowledging. Maybe you kind of want to look down a little bit. That's okay, that's shy, but not saying anything at all, that's rude. And by the way, she points out this also applies to those on the opposite end of the spectrum, those who are a little perhaps overly social. They can learn a little thing or two about being rude or taking it too far. So that's a great one we can teach offline. Obviously that one you don't point out in the moment. You never want to point out and correct these things in public in the moment, because like we said over in step number 1, that can put our son in a box. But you know what, in the prep, in the lead up, we want to talk about that distinction. So it's always important that when someone says hello, we say hello back. We don't have to go and give a hug necessarily. That'd be great if you feel comfortable with that, if both dad and son do. But you must at least always return that hello. Got to give respect to get respect. All right, number 7. You've heard this one before, dads. Back in episode 13, our Breaking Bad episode, Breaking Bad Habits. Check it out. We want to praise things when we do see good behavior that we like. When you see your son take that leap and do something brave and bold, let him know that you saw it. Let him know, wow, I'm so proud of you. That wasn't easy. I know that couldn't have been easy. To go and tell your teammates, hey guys, we need to do this. You know what? And when you stepped up and you spoke like that, that was being very brave, and you did an excellent job. Just saying a few words. I just probably over-dramatized it in my example to you, but even just a few words of acknowledgement from Dad, letting him know that you see his behavior, Dad, is going to encourage him to want to do more of the same. So remember to praise that good behavior when you see it. All right, number 8, we can offer choice. So when we first enter the situation, instead of necessarily having to go and dive into that social arena, you can let him say, hey, Jimmy, do you want to go into the other room with the kids and sit on the sofa and watch as they play Thomas the Train on the floor? Or would you rather come sit with the grown-ups, and eat some snacks for a little while first? Just giving him a choice puts it in his court, gives him a bit of a timeline. He doesn't have to be social quite yet, but he can warm himself up to it, which can be key. Having a little bit of a lead up. Number 9, you can find ways to be playful, and that might mean something like a puppet. So make it fun. The puppet is the one encouraging him to be out there. Hey Jimmy, would you like some craisins? So when you have a young one come over to the house who might have this problem, you as a host can do this, to make it a little bit fun. You can get down on your knees to his level, and you can do the same thing, dads, when you're helping introduce your son to some unfamiliar people. Make it fun, be playful. That relieves a whole layer of pressure for everybody, So that's number 9. And we saved the best one for last. Wrapping it up here on number 10, we want to put the child in charge. And this was a terrific tip that I read in this book, How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen, by Joanna Faber and Julie King. And they had 3 magic words that are terrific. Instead of insisting or making the child say hi, say, Jimmy, say hi to your aunt. That's putting him in the box, as we said, and it's putting pressure on him. Better term for it. Instead, she recommends these magic words. Billy will join us when he's ready. Those 3 words, when he's ready, do 2 things. They put Billy in charge, so he gets a bit of a choice of when that's going to happen. You aren't labeling him as shy or anything else. And number 2, it's also inviting Billy, prompting Billy to eventually be ready and to come and say hello. So he'll feel more comfortable. He doesn't need to immediately say hi to all these people, but he does know that he, will be joining us at some future point. So it's a great way to prompt his bravery, to nurture and feed that at the same time without pressuring and making him into something that he isn't. Because this goes right back to advice number 1. We want to acknowledge, we don't want to make our sons into something they aren't. We want to prompt them into wanting themselves to grow into those things. All right. Well, dads, I'm glad you joined us today. I hope you're downloading or have already downloaded your copy of the free Couch to 5K training plan. You can watch our show each and every Friday. We're here every Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. You can watch the the binge watch the back episodes over on YouTube as well, and we invite you to do that. And yeah, dads, whatever you do, find time to go out there one-on-one with your son, have a runversation, grow close together, grow fit together. All right, I'm going to reach over here to end the video now. Thanks for joining.